It's a part 2 podcast.
Part 2 podcast with your host, Dr.Tasha Dickerson. We're talking all things second act. We're talking about women pivoting in their life from the first chapter to the next, dropping gems about how they did it. It's the Part 2 podcast. It's the Part 2 podcast. It's the Part 2 podcast. It's the Part 2 podcast.
Welcome to the Part 2 podcast. Forget the rules, we're writing the remix. Bold convos, real pivots, and unapologetic change. Your remix starts now. I'm Dr. Dickerson, your host, and today, it is going to be juicy. We have a wonderful guest here, the owner and the founder of CoCoGin LLC. A little bit about her brand. She's a Black woman-owned cold-pressed juice and wellness company. It's based right here in Richmond, Virginia. Her background, she transitioned from corporate. She was a social worker at one time and then a flight attendant, and then she became a full-time entrepreneur. She builds she wants to build CoCoGin, I'm sorry, what is going on with my mouth today? CoCoGin into a brand that's serving her customers nationwide. And you're already doing that, right? You're already serving them nationwide, promoting wellness through education, events, and community partnerships. She's been recognized as the recipient of the 2024 Comcast Rise Award and a participant and winner of the VCU Shelfie Pitch competition. And your mission is inspiring others to live intentionally and make daily choices that support their health and wellness. Please help me welcome Frances Odoi.
Thank you.
She is the founder of CoCoGin Juice.
Okay,
Woo!
yes.
Thank you for the applause. That was wonderful.
I appreciate that introduction. That made me feel like I'm down here doing something.
I mean, like, that's a whole mouthful right there. Let's get started.
Absolutely.
So I know your company is here in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from?
So I'm born and raised here in Richmond, Virginia. However, I am born from Ghanaian parents. So my roots are Ghanaian, so West Africa. But like I said, born and raised here. However, I'm able to go back and forth and things of that nature. Was raised, under that culture. But I'm an African American, as they say.
Yes, you are. A beautiful one. Beautiful young lady. Beautiful young lady. Yes. So you went to school here and I guess grew up here.
Yes.
And did you go to college here?
I did. I actually went to VCU. Okay. I graduated from VCU. I actually started at ODU, then ended up transferring to VCU. Okay. I've been here in Richmond all my life, from elementary to college. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So there was social work and the flight attendant.
Correct.
So which one was the major at VCU? Was it
that was social work? Yes.
Okay. So now, how did you go from? That's a pivot right there. Social working to flight attendant. Although these days you might need to be a social worker and a psychiatrist and everything else on that flight attendant job. So tell me a little bit about the social work and on that life.
So with social work, I was a medical social worker. So I was working. I initially started working in long-term care. So I was working at Henrico Health and Rehab. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that.
Yeah.
I started there, then ended up working with Bon Secours as a social worker there. And then I just kind of got tired of the healthcare industry. Just seeing how things were going, especially when it came down to the wellness piece of it. So I was just like, okay, maybe I just need to step away from the hospital setting. And I ended up going back into long-term care, and that's where I actually left Richmond, actually transferred down to Charlottesville.
Wow.
Sorry, not Charlottesville, Charlotte,
North
Carolina.
I gotcha. Yes.
I was down there working, and I was there for a year, still working in healthcare. And I realized, no, especially with my wellness journey and where that was going, I was just like, it just doesn't make sense for me to stay in this space. So then I was just like, all right, well, what can I do? And flight attendant became the thing. Honestly,
Wow.
and that's a whole story in itself. But
Do tell a little bit if you don't mind.
Okay, so I was with my friends. Woke up one morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm just like, okay, I'm just unhappy. You know, I'm not happy with what I'm doing right now. Like, I love my clients, I love the residents.
Yeah.
You know, I love what I'm doing for them, but still, I'm not being fulfilled.
Right.
You know, entirely. So I just kind of pondered on that, and then I was with my friends one weekend, and you know how like the whole numerology thing, things of that nature. So you know, they pulled my numbers and they said, oh, you're gonna do something with traveling, and I'm like, I wouldn't mind being a flight attendant. And then randomly I saw this application. I was just like, you know what? Let me just apply and just see. They reached out to me like within days about like following up with an interview. And I said, okay. So it was like it was the video interview. Then I had to do the phone interview, then the in-person interview. So they flew me over to San Francisco. Right. And I did the interview there. And within about like a few weeks, you know, I got the job. And I was like, okay. So for me, it was just like, I knew that was the path that I was supposed to go to because it was flawless. Like being a flight attendant is a very competitive, you know, position to get. Yeah. But for me, it was very easy. So I was just like, okay, this is the route that I'm supposed to go, just so that way I can kind of just breathe from where I'm at in a sense of really just pursuing the wellness piece in my life. Not to say that being a flight attendant was the healthiest position. However, for me, because where my wellness journey was at that time, I was able to maintain that. And people would look at me like, how do you pack your bag like that? Like, how are you? Because for one, these airports and these different cities, food is expensive. Yes, okay, it is. So I knew how to meal prep very well. Okay. So that's when I was just really being intentional. Also just being very intentional about what I was putting into my body. Especially also too being on a plane, you have all those germs that are, you know, floating around in the air. Right. So for me, it was just very much so, okay, how can I still be intentional about my health then? That's when like vitamin C was like a big thing for me. You know, I would always take that, especially if I started to feel sick.
And this was all pre-COVID. This was like before the pandemic and everything. So
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, so from social work, I, you know, went to flying just as a kind of like a break and like just a freedom for self, you know. I got to travel. I got to, you know, travel the world, travel, you know, the nation, see a lot of different cities that I didn't think that I would be able to like ever tap into. Right. Met a lot of good people, you know, while on that job. But then, then life started to just kind of pan out and it brought me back home.
Well, there are no coincidences. So that path, as easy as it rolled out, it was because it was supposed to be, as we know, right? And I understand what you're saying with the healthcare part. It's not the patients. You care about them. That's why you went into it to begin with. Right. Sometimes it's the systems that are in place that you kind of get tired of. And so you had to step away. So I understand that. Yes. So, how long did you, I guess, were you a social worker and how long were you in the flight attendant?
So I was a social worker for about 6 years. Okay. Started with 2011, 2016. No, I'm sorry, 2017 is when I left. Okay. Social work. And then as a flight attendant, started in 2017, then 2021. Okay. Because when the pandemic hit, we had to take a little break because just didn't know what was going on with flying and things of that nature. But then in 2021, I said, you know what? I think it's time.
So what did you learn, I guess, and from wearing those hats? Did you learn anything that you now are, I guess, using now? Did you learn anything in that part? One, like a lot of times when we have multiple jobs, we look back and we're like, you know what, that made me flexible. That made me, you know, I have the gift for gab now, or now I know how to interact with people. What do you think that you gather? Because it's two totally different perspectives. Like, what did you learn from either or both?
So what I will say is just that communication with people, you know. Prior to growing up, like I'll tell people now, like I'm an introvert, and they're like, "Girl, stop lying." And I'm like, "No, I very much so am." But I feel like, you know, as a social worker and then being on the plane, that really opened me up to like really communicating with people a lot more, just listening more to where they are, you know, and helping them where they are. Also and it's really just more of that communication and learning how people move, what are their needs, things of that nature. It honestly also taught me what I don't want to do, you know, what I don't want to deal with, you know. I learned at that point that, you know, I really want to be able to work for myself, you know. When I was a flight attendant, like, it was a point where they wanted to give me demerits because of something I had no control over.
Right.
Like, long story short, like, my eye, like, was swollen shut. I can't be the face of the plane and safely evacuate, you know, God forbid something happens, with one eye, you know,
with an eye impairment at the time.
you know, and they wanted to just kind of like let me go. And I'm like, well, almost. Well, it was to the point where, like, it was going to give me demerits. Okay, let me go. So I was just like, you know, and even trying to take off, or not, like, having a little bit more control and flexibility with your own lifestyle. Just like, you know, I can't be under someone else's control, or just I can't sit here and give more time and energy into someone else's dream, and not put that on, and not put that same type of energy into my own. So that's kind of what really just allowed me to see, like, okay, what is it that you really want to do, and what is it that you don't want to deal with, you know?
So this was setting you up to start thinking about the next step or something different.
Absolutely.
And those moments happen.
Yeah.
So, and they are different, and they just quietly say, hey, it's time to start pivoting. It's time to move on.
Right.
And then sometimes they get loud. But I also think that you get to, both of those got you in the position where you were speaking with people, like social work. People kind of trust you. You kind of get to intimately know them. And sometimes with the flight attendant, you kind of get to know, you have to be able to, they have to trust you. And so it's a different way of communicating. But you had to gain trust in both of those things, those positions that you had. But yeah, so the pivot with that voice. So I would like to talk about that a little bit more, because it pivoted. Had you ever thought about it before? Those little voices started coming to you?
Being an entrepreneur? Near the end of my flight attendant career, yes.
That was the first time you started hearing those pivots?
Because prior to that, I'm just like, me being like having to have my own business and like sell, you know, product. I was like, I always said, I am not a saleswoman, baby. I give you my 9 to 5, you know, let me go work my job,
let
get my
someone
money,
take care of that,
you know,
make the money and go home.
But having to like present a product or a service to someone and sell that, you know, that was just never my thing. So I was just so like, from where I am now, like to where I am now, total person. You're shifting your personality. Total
and
shift.
You're a different person.
Yes, totally different person, and I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. And then when I realized that it wasn't necessarily like sales, it was more of just the passion behind what I'm doing, and really talking to the people about what the benefits are, and that's more of
what you're interested in.
Yeah, you know, it's not really the sale. Okay. So yeah.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk more about the pivot and what comes after that.
All right.
Welcome back. We're here with Frances Odoi and CoCoGin. All right. So we left off at your pivot, you know, where you went from flight attendant, social worker, and now you're having thoughts about your next chapter, your part 2.
Yes.
So tell us more about the pivot. What exactly happened?
Okay, so beginning of 2020, obviously the pandemic hits, and at that time we were just like thinking, okay, what does flying look like for us?
Oh my gosh!
But then come April, I get a call while I'm on a flight, and it's my father, and he's in the hospital, and he tells me that he had just had a stroke.
Oh my goodness.
So at that point, I pick up my bags, I get off that plane because we're about to board, and I went to my manager, and I was just like, I gotta go home.
Yeah,
you know, because it's I would have been the only person to really be there to assist him at that time. So went home, and that was the longest 6-hour flight that I had ever taken. And while I was on that flight, I mean, I cried the whole time because I was just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know what life is going to look like at this point. I've worked in healthcare, so I know what that looks like.
Right.
I know what, you know, from the hospital setting to then rehab to then going home. Like, I know what that looks like. I know what a good recovery of, you know, a stroke, what a stroke survivor looks like. And I know what, you know, where there's a lot of work that needs to be had. Right. So I just didn't know what that looked like, you know. So I kind of like, in that, my mindset was just like, there's going to be a lot of changes. And I was just like, I kind of knew I'm going home. You know, I just knew I was going home. But I was just like, you know, we're just going to work through this thing. So got home, and, you know, when the pandemic hit, you know, flying started to, you know, start to dwindle a little bit. Yeah. So at that point, you know, they offered us, you know, the opportunity to either like take a voluntary leave or, you know, an involuntary leave. And me and a friend of mine, we were just like, well, we're going to take the voluntary leave.
Right.
You know? Also for me, I didn't want to have to continue flying and potentially bring something back to, you know, my father who's in a vulnerable state at this point. So, so when I got home, you know, I was caring for him. But while at the same time, we're dealing with the pandemic, you know?
Absolutely.
We're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with immune systems being weak, you know, and not being able to tolerate what's going on. So for me, I said, all right, what can I, already at that point, I was on my wellness journey.
Right.
You know, I was this was 2020? So I was 6 years into, you know, my personal wellness journey.
Okay.
So at that time, I was just like, okay, well, what can I do to be very intentional about something that I need to consume on a daily basis that's going to give me the nutrients that's going to help my immune system stay strong, or at least strengthen it, you know? And at the time, I really loved ginger. I was just like, you know, I just wanted to juice ginger because a friend of mine, she had juiced ginger and she put them into ice cubes and would just like add it to her tea. And I was like, you know, I want to do that.
Oh,
you
that
know?
sounds delicious.
And I had this juicer that was in this box that was just collecting dust for years. And I said, well, let me just go ahead and do that for myself. So, you know, I went to go juice the ginger and there were some oranges and some carrots that were sitting on the table. I'm like, let me just throw that in there too.
Okay.
Threw that in there and it turned out to be a very good juice. I said, wait a minute now.
So you had never really juiced
I'd
before
never
that?
juiced.
Okay.
Now, did I like buy juice?
Sure.
You know, to do like detoxes and things? Yes, but I've never made my own juice.
Sure.
So, you know, I was making my own juice and I got fancy with it. Started to buy like the little glass bottles like off Amazon. And,
Yes.
you know, I'm just like playing around with different flavors. For me, in the beginning, it was all about a rich color. Like I already like
that is beautiful.
and it's one of those things where it's just like, we already know fruits and vegetables are good for us.
Yes.
Like, that's just like a no-brainer. We already know it's full of nutrients. So for me, like at that time, it was, I really don't care what's going in there. I just really want a rich color.
But you know what? Your body tells you what it needs, you know, whether it's a craving. So your eyes were directing you to pick what your body probably needed.
That part.
And so you were attracted to, you know, the vibrant oranges and the vitamin A's and all that. So we'll get into all of that. But that's amazing how your that intuition came through. Okay.
And like you said about our bodies knowing, like for me, whenever I would feel like sick or something was coming, I always had this urge for orange juice. Like I always wanted orange juice, but now and I would just, you know, get the regular store-bought orange juice, but now I know better.
I know now we won't say anything here, but yes, now we know, right?
Yes, now
we'll
we know.
Say that. Well, now we know.
But being able to listen to your body, and that's what really started it for me, you know, in my journey as well too. So started making juices for myself. I had a friend of mine that was just like, well, let me get a juice. Let me buy a juice from you. I'm like, no, I don't sell
these.
This is for me. She took bottle and cashed at me $10. And I said, wait a minute.
Wow.
I can make money?
Wow.
I said, okay. So I was like, all right. And then I had other family and friends that were just like, well, you know, I want to do like a detox.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So I was just making juices, put them in mason jars, you know, and selling them that way. And then I had my brother. He actually said, I mean, all you got to do is put a label on it.
Wow.
I'm not putting no label on no bottles. I'm not a saleswoman. I don't sell things. I'm not selling this juice.
Right.
This is just selfishly
For
me, you know. But I'll do it for my friends and family.
Right.
So I started to get a lot of that, and I was like, okay. So I made like a little logo, you know, and I made a sticker and I put it on a bottle, and then so it just kind of evolved from there. People were just like, well, do you have a social media? Like, do you do like any pop-ups or anything like that? Or at the farmer's market? I'm like, no, not quite.
So they're giving you the marketing plan step by step, whether you wanted it or not.
And the crazy thing about it is what I've learned in my life, the journey of my life, is like I fought a lot of things that I was actually supposed to actually do for self, you know? Like I fought that for the longest. And I'll be honest with you. This is even a moment for me to say, keep going. Me being at this table with you all.
That's my trigger 2 words. I get that whenever it's time for me to keep going, it pops up out of nowhere. So and saying yes, like you kept saying no for a long time. What do you think that was all about? Why do you think you were saying it? Was it like you said, I don't want to sell, I don't want to market, I don't want to do that? Where do you think that?
I didn't think
that it was
possible for me to do.
Ooh, that's
deep. I didn't see that for me. I like I said, I didn't see myself as a salesperson. You know, I didn't think that I had the capability to say, hey, you know, you should buy this,
right?
And really have the energy to back for you to buy that. You know, so initially, like no, and like I said, I very much so deep down am an introvert.
Yeah,
you know, but if you if you know people that know me now, they will say, girl, stop lying. Stop lying. You will talk to a tree. Now, they say you'll talk to a rock. Maybe I won't talk to a rock. Maybe I'll talk to a tree, but not a rock. Either way, it's truly evolved me. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. But that whole aspect of me just not wanting to do things,
right.
I've learned now that when I have that urge, you should.
Yeah.
You should.
But it's evolving. I mean, I think you just needed to go through those steps, and they were necessary, and they got you to where you are, and that is awesome. I call myself an introverted extrovert. My job requires me to talk to people all day long, and if, like you said, if they asked, "Are you an extrovert?" and I'd be like, "No," because I really enjoy my private time. And so I think that might be what you're speaking on. You can talk and explain and describe, and I'm sure when we ask you about the juices, you could tell us the ingredient and why. But at the end of the day, you could go home and get on the couch and wrap up in a blanket and tell everybody, "See you tomorrow." Okay, right?
Absolutely.
Respectfully,
yes.
Respectfully.
And I learned that when it comes down to like introverts and extroverts, it's like introverts are more of like, not to say that they don't like to talk to people, but they do have to recharge.
Yes.
Yes. And recharging means that they have to be
alone time.
You
yes,
know?
Absolutely.
And that's where I was like, okay, so that's the difference, because we always just think of introverts, they just don't like to communicate at all,
Right.
However,
you have to recharge.
I just have to recharge.
You literally have to recharge. Right. But you enjoy the moments when you're with your friends and your company and things, but you need to recharge.
Absolutely.
It's a necessity.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we don't know about you yet? Because you've told us quite a bit. Is there anything else that we need to know about you deep down inside? Oh, I know what it was. You said about your health journey. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
like what made you? I know you said your father's journey, but you said that there was some things that you were already kind of headed in that direction. Do you mind kind of explaining?
Absolutely, yeah.
Or as much as you're willing to.
Yeah. So this was when I was in high school. Let's go back there. I was a late bloomer. My menstrual came late, and then when it came, it was very much so, it was irregular, Doctors just put me on birth control pills just to kind of help maintain my hormone levels and things of that nature. But as I just started to kind of get older and just go through life, I was just like, well, it doesn't make sense, because if I need to be on a birth control pill for me to actually have a menstrual, however, the birth control pill is supposed to keep me from having children. How am I supposed to be able to have a child? Make it make sense.
Right.
Even though now I know like how there's ways, but at that time it just didn't make sense to me.
But it did, but it didn't. But you were thinking ahead. I get that. I appreciate that. Yes.
And I'm a firm believer of like, I understand the need for medication, but to have to be on it for the lifetime of your life, I just, in understanding and knowing the side effects and things of that nature, I just didn't agree with having to be on birth control for the rest of my life, So I was like, there's something wrong. However, let's just go to the source of it. So that was an issue. But then I started to experience some excessive, hair growth, facial hair growth. I was like, okay, what is this? Long story short, I was able to diagnose myself that I had PCOS.
PCOS, yeah.
And, went to the doctors and I told them, they're like, yeah, then there was like issues with, they're saying I was like pre-diabetic. Then with the hair growth, they wanted to put me back on birth control.
Yes.
It was a lot. So I said, okay, now what can I do?
Right.
What can I personally do? They tried to put me on the medications and things of that nature. Body rejected it. So metformin, body rejected it.
Yes, it's a tough drug sometimes.
Yeah. So at that point, I was just like, okay, well, what can I do? So I got a second opinion. I went to another doctor, and she was like, I want you to change your diet around. I said, And this was a nurse practitioner too. She was like, I want you to change your diet around. I was like, okay.
I can do that. I can do that.
I was like, okay, what does that look like? She was like, I want you to drink more water, more fruits and vegetables, less processed foods, less carbs. I did that, and I stuck to it for a month.
Wow.
After a month. Now, take note, this was 2005.
Okay.
2004 to, this was 2007.
Okay.
Actually, 2008. I lied to you. 2011.
2011. All right. 2011.
From that time, I was, on birth control, on the medications, things of that nature. She was like, I want you to change. And menstrual was irregular. I went almost a whole year without a menstrual because I chose not to take the birth
control. Correct.
So when I saw that nurse practitioner, she said, I want you to change your diet around. After a month, my menstrual came on its own.
Wow.
And since 2014, it has been coming on its own every month.
Right.
So that started my wellness journey, because when I realized that, okay, what I eat actually
matters.
It matters.
Yeah, we really are what we eat.
We really are.
That old adage
and
is so true.
I argue that with people all the time, because what you are what you eat. No, absolutely,
you really are.
I've seen the change after a month of time. So at that point, I was just very intentional about the things that I was doing with my body. It was even to the point where I was alkaline vegan for a while.
Oh, wow.
I actually went to Honduras and I haven't really told anybody this, but I actually met Dr. Sabies as well,
You
too.
did?
So, yeah.
Oh, my God. That was an amazing
So
journey.
just in terms of like my health and my the wealth of it, I really took that seriously. So then when it came down to, when the pandemic came, I was just like, okay, like I know that it's an immune issue.
Yes.
So what can I do to make sure that I'm strengthening that piece?
Okay.
So that's where, juices came into play, because I'm just like, at the end of the day, we have to hydrate on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
So why not just make a juice and have the nutrients that are in these fruits and vegetables and just drink that on a daily basis and see what happens. And I never got COVID.
Wow.
And didn't get the vaccine.
Exactly.
Personally.
Wow. So that tells us why, how that visual that you were explaining before, it was strengthened by going on that journey to Honduras. And it's amazing. Well, they are beautiful. I wish you all could see them in the studio. I mean, they're very vibrant. She is not making that up. I guess when we come back, she's going to tell us the ingredients or just the combinations and their benefits and tell us more.
All right.
Welcome back to the Part 2 podcast. We have our guest today, Frances Odoi and CoCoGin Juice. Yes. All right. So we were we were getting into your ingredients, and they are gorgeous here. But before we do that, I know we were talking, like I said, I spoke with you earlier and saw on your Instagram page that you are heavily involved in like farmers markets around the area. How important is it to be a part of the community and the ingredients and things that you choose being local and things of that nature? How is that, how important is that to your company and to you?
Well, I started off at the farmers markets. And again, my whole goal is just to really help the community see an alternate way in caring for themselves. I mean, yes, I had the opportunity to go the, social media route and things of that nature. But I just really felt like, really reaching my community and laying eyes on my, the members of the community and actually reaching them first would be more beneficial. Also, too, being able to have them try it, so when I actually started selling, with family and friends, but like really getting out to the community was farmers markets. And that was RVA Black Farmers Market. I don't know if y'all have been, but we're over at Shalom Farms now.
Yeah.
But that's where I started back in 2020, and I did well on day one, and I've been there ever since. And just being able to reach the people in that way, like it's love, So now it's just to the point where it's just like I just have to be in that type of space, and it's even now, like, so I've actually, floated up to the Charlottesville area.
Okay.
So I'm at a farmer's market up there now, and I missed one Saturday.
Oh, my
One
gosh.
Saturday.
Oh.
And they were ready to fight.
Wow.
Where were you, ma'am? I was like, oh. So it's one of those things where, and also, too, I want people to actually really feel my energy when I'm talking to them about what I offer.
Yeah.
And I get that, and I see that, and they get that, and they feel that.
They feel the passion.
They feel the passion.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying before, when it comes down to, like, I don't see myself as a saleswoman. Yeah. However, I sell not even sell. I share my passion.
You
with
believe
people.
in your product.
I believe in the product.
You feel you healed yourself with your product.
Correct.
So,
and being able to be there in front of those individuals and talking to them about it and letting them try it and letting them know what it is, that's everything to me. So being more in the community, that's really where my heart is.
Your passion is.
Yeah.
So let's see the products. I guess how did you come up with them? Did they kind of evolve? I know you said you started mixing things together. Which one is first? Which one's your baby? I guess. Or do you have any favorites? You can't have favorite kids, but
and thank you, because people ask me that all the time. They're like, "Which one's your favorite?" I'm like, "Do you have children?" I said, "Do you have a favorite child?" Some people say, "Yes, I do." And I'm like, "Ooh, okay." But no, they're all my babies, and I don't necessarily have a favorite.
Okay, that's fair.
However, when it comes down to the juices where we started with them, the coconut water and the ginger.
Okay.
And really the ginger. Ginger was the start of it.
Well, hold on. Is that how you got your name, the Coke?
That is how we got our name, because all of our juices do consist of coconut water and ginger.
Okay.
Hence the name CoCoGin.
CoCoGin.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
So, brilliant.
Yeah. And especially so during that time when I was creating it, and it's funny, I don't like coconut water. Mm-hmm. Like by itself.
It doesn't taste like you think it would.
It's not my favorite beverage,
No.
However, I love to, for one of the benefits. Also, too, throughout my wellness journey, I learned that it's not always about a taste.
It is not.
It's about what it's going to actually offer you, what it's going to give you.
Yep.
Like when I went to Honduras, I drank bitters the whole time that I was there. Bitters is the word. That's just what it was. But I knew what it was doing for my body at the time. So I may not love beets.
Right.
Not a beet lover. However, I know what it offers me.
And
now,
that's what I had trying to get my patients, I guess, to understand that it's sometimes if you change the focus of why you're eating and why you're eating certain things, it's like you're loving your body because you're choosing not just because of the taste. Of course, we do want it to taste good.
Right.
But, I mean, if you also think about I'm doing it to nourish, then you can expand your taste buds a little bit to tolerate. If I'm getting, like you said, roots, I'm getting beets, I'm getting this because it's going to help with my inflammation, or I'm getting this because that's not true. But you're getting that ingredient for a particular outcome.
Right. I mean, and it's really about just being intentional. That's the big word for me, just being very intentional about just like every move that I'm making in my life, because every move makes a difference.
It does.
So when it came down to the juices, coconut water and ginger was the staple in all of them. Like I said, I didn't really care for coconut water. However, I was drinking this drink, Body Armors. Are you familiar with Body Armors? I was drinking Body Armors a lot at that time. And it was like, okay, there's coconut water. I can drink this, So when I started making the juices, for me, I love a good sweet.
Yeah.
But too much sweet I can't do too much sweet. So I was like, let me put a little bit of coconut water in there, because sometimes with juices, when you press the ingredients, sometimes it can be a little bit thick. And with certain products, it can be very sweet. So like when you're dealing with your apples, sometimes even your pineapples, they can be very sweet. But for me, I was just like, okay, this is too much. I mean, it's, too much of a good thing is not always a good thing.
Right.
So I was just like, okay, what can I do to kind of just like level that out? So I add a little coconut water to it. And all with that too, coconut water has beautiful benefits as well too. For one, from the hydrating standpoint, the electrolytes that are in it, the potassium, being intentional, even though I may not love it, on its own, I do enjoy it heavily in a juice. And it's funny because now if I don't have coconut water, and then I'm just like, something's missing. Your body's like, we are dehydrated. Something is missing. So the coconut water and ginger, that was the base.
Okay.
And from the beginning, me and a good friend of mine, we were, I was just like, okay, if I did make this into a business, what would it be called? And I was like, well, there's coconut water and ginger in all of them. Hence CoCoGin. That's where that came.
Yeah.
But when I look at the lineup right here, which one is the OG?
Okay, yes.
Like our first one that we've had would probably be our Everything But Orange, our EBO. That's our carrot and cantaloupe based juice. So that one has carrots, cantaloupe, apple, pineapple, lemon, coconut water, and ginger.
Yum.
Now in the beginning, we did go through a few, changes because initially we didn't have pineapple in there, but something was missing, And I feel like now I can cook. I mean, I'm not a chef like, our counterpart right here, However, I learned from my mother that, and also too, I think just culturally, as Black individuals, we know how to season something,
yes.
And with the juices, I just always knew that something was missing, So
you need that.
You need just a little twang or something.
Yes.
So I didn't have pineapple in there initially. So I was like, let me just throw a little bit of pineapple because it gives like a little bit of a twang to it. And it just changed the whole game for me. I was like, okay, there we go. And again, like I was saying before, I was going for more of a rich color when I was making these juices. But then it was just like, okay, we have kiwi and green apples here and pineapple. Okay, but there's still something that's like missing. It's not giving, a really flavorful. It's flavorful because all fruits and vegetables are good, But for me, and like you said, it's something with like my eyes and when I see, like I know, and you know, I'm a woman of faith, you know, and I do believe that God just he has set me up to be able to like
see
my hands.
Yeah.
You know, it's in my hands. Like I've had people say like, so something that we didn't discuss before,
Okay.
When it kind of transitions into like the entrepreneurial lifestyle, when the pandemic happened, well, actually prior to the pandemic, I actually do hair as well too.
Okay.
I am a loctician.
That's another part of the part one and to the part two. Part three?
Fueled the part two.
Okay.
It fueled the part two. It happened in part one.
Okay.
And I really didn't understand again. Well, and sorry to go back.
No.
But when I was saying that, you know, I kind of rejected certain things, or I always said no to certain things. So I had gotten my hair done, you know, and the beautiful loctician who did my hair, she was like, "Don't you want to learn how to, you know, how to do locks?" I said, "No, I do not." Do you think I want to sit here for 10, 12 hours doing somebody's hair? No, ma'am. I don't. I want to go to my job at the hospital, work my little 9 to 5, and go home. You know. She was like, "You sure?" Well, they're coming to Richmond, and you know, it's at a reduced rate. And I'm like, "I don't want to." And she was like, "Well, you know, with your first hair, you can pay that off." And I'm like, okay. Now, did I do hair? Like, I would do my own hair.
Right.
You know, I would do like kinky twists and things of that nature. And I would help other individuals with their hair needs and things of that nature. But I was just like, okay, let me just test it out. I did it, and throughout that time, I did that back in 2013. That's when I started doing that. And I had a few clients here and there, you know, but it wasn't full time for me. But then when I came home from the pandemic, I was like, okay, I'm not flying. I'm not making any money right now. Well, what can I do? So I was already juicing, but for myself.
Okay.
But then I got into doing hair.
Wow.
Hence, again, me saying no to something that actually fueled, you know, my life was when I came home, because I was living in Baltimore at the time, came back to Richmond, because at that time, that's when I had to, like, you know, care for my father.
Okay.
And be here. Literally, I was on my way to get my hair done. And on that drive from Baltimore to Richmond, I said, I don't want to do hair anymore. Like, I'm about to just go and take a certification and do bookkeeping. Like, I don't know what's about to happen, but I know I just don't want to do hair anymore. Wow. When I got into the shop to get my hair done, she was like, "You want to come work in the shop since, you know, it's the pandemic and, like, you're not flying anymore?" No, ma'am. I don't. I don't. Like, I just, did you not hear my pros and cons
They would
list?
say, no.
No, I do not want to.
Yes.
So, it's funny because I surrendered to it and I did it, and that helped my, like, that was my full entrepreneurship.
Like that was the
everything.
final straw. I'm full on entrepreneur.
And it was to the point when I was, you know, about to go back to flying potentially. You know, I had a full schedule, like full clientele, you know.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just like, well, picking and choosing. I was like, no, I think I'm just going to have to let flying go, and I'm just going to have to do hair and then really fuel
it was
energy into my
juice
business.
all the way at that point. Well, I mean, there are a lot of pivots. There's a lot of parts, and through it all, what would you tell somebody? Is there a gem you got to drop? You got to drop a gem today, girl. Drop me a gem. Tell the listeners something that you learned, something you wish you knew, something that you think that they need to hear, just in their journey. It doesn't have to be like entrepreneurship. It could just be just in life, whatever you feel. Yeah, feel it on your heart.
I would say, don't quit.
Don't quit. I love that.
Don't quit. Even when you feel like it's starting to get hard and you just feel like, okay, I don't know what the next move is going to be for me. I don't know how this is going to work out. I've done everything that I can. Don't quit. Don't quit. And if you have to pivot and do things just a little bit differently, then that's okay. You know? But just don't quit. Right. Don't quit, because what's for you is for you. If it gives you the energy that you need and you're just at a frustrated place with it, just give it one more day.
Wow,
give it one more day. Just keep going. Don't
I
quit.
love that. Yes. Don't quit. Keep going. You got to, and sometimes you have to say it out loud to yourself, because some days the stop, no, go over there, run away is loud, but you got to just say, not today. We're not quitting. We're not giving up. We're going to keep going. Wow. Well, that was beautiful. I'm going to get me some juice because this is beautiful. And she has a bar here. Can you tell everybody, because I know you said you're national, can you tell everyone how we can get the juice?
So if you're interested in juice and you're not here in the Richmond area, you can head over to our website, www.CoCoGinJuice.com.
Okay.
You can place your orders there. We do ship nationwide. Also, too, we do offer pickup. So if you are in the Richmond area and you do want some juice, you can place your order online and you can pick up over at Lyra's Natural Kitchen over in Stony Point Mall. We do pickups there throughout the week. Also, too, you can always see us throughout the city or Virginia at the farmers markets. We are at RVA Black Farmers Market every second and fourth Sunday up until the end of the season, the end of this year. And then also, too, we're in Charlottesville at the farmers market at Ix. We're there every Saturday. The new season is 9 to 1, so we are there. Also, to Carytown Farmers Market. Carytown Farmers Market, we are there every first and third Sunday for the month of October. Also, too, we are now offering online orders with the Birdhouse Farmers Market. So if you're interested in just picking up juices, you can always head over to the Birdhouse, birdhouse.com website. Do a pre-order there and pick up on Tuesdays.
Sounds good. Well, that'll do it. I thank you for sharing your juice, your gems, your life. And that's it for the Part 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tasha Dickerson. Here's to making your next chapter your best chapter. Now until next time.